So, Derrick, I heard you took a little trip recently to New York to play a little bit of Starlink Battle for Atlas. Is that right?
Yeah, I actually got invited up by Ubisoft, and they had a whole new presentation there. They were showing off more of the game, and more importantly, they showed off more of the Star Fox content. And, well, us being us, that's really what I focused on when I got up there, because, I think that's what people were really interested in. I think that's actually going to be the gateway for this game, because there's quality here. I don't know if it's going to be enough to get people interested in it on its own, but boy, having Star Fox there really does help.
Yeah, well, I know I did a recent preview discussion with Andre about Starlink, and he was very, very positive about the Star Fox content, and not just the Star Fox content, but about Starlink in general. So he really liked it, and it sounds like you liked it a lot. So do you want to go ahead and give us an overview of kind of what the Star Fox content that you played is?
Yeah, so basically what it is that the Star Fox is integrated into the overall game. You can play as Fox McCloud throughout the entire thing. You're not limited to just this Star Fox story. But there is an exclusive Star Fox basically campaign that's sort of worked into the rest of Starlink, where for whatever reason they're hunting down Wolf, and he's up to no good, so they're in this the Atlas system hunting him down, and it takes you from planet to planet, sort of picking up on his trails, sort of seeing what he's up to, and it's sort of entertaining. Like it really does capture that vibe of the original Star Fox. I mean, it helps that they have all the original voice actors there, and it feels so cool to have these characters in a more, I guess, open world environment doing other things than the typical battles. And even just playing it, like I thought it before when I saw all this and saw the previews, but actually playing it and having Fox as my character, I'm like, maybe Nintendo should start going in this direction for the Star Fox series, because it feels really good.
Well, yeah, that's actually kind of something that Andre was touching on earlier when we were just talking about it, which was that this may feel more like a new Star Fox game than other actual Star Fox games have in recent memory. And it sounds really exciting that they're having the Star Fox characters, Fox and friends, in this more open world context. So how has that been?
It's been really good. Basically, all you do is there's your core missions, your main story that you got to go through. You got your side missions, and then you have the Star Fox missions that pop up. And when you highlight that, it takes you to your destination, and that's when you sort of get your story stuff, where Falco, Slippy, and Peppy all pop in to say a little bit about the story, how they are hunting for Wolf, and how they sort of tie it into the whole Starlink mythos as you go on. And the first mission is just sort of like a easy, let's explore a little bit, get a handle of the controls, not really even do much combat, honestly. But when you get to mission 2, it was my first taste of space combat, and I'd played a demo of Starlink before without the Star Fox content, where it's mainly a land mission, and it's amazing how different it feels, especially because I don't really do space combat games a whole lot, so
yeah,
it was definitely an adjustment, and I learned some more things about the general gameplay, but we're going to focus on Fox for now. I think that's what everybody's really interested in. And once I got a handle on the controls, it really did feel good, especially because there's a lot of just great touches when it comes to the R-Wing itself. So in Starlink, you have all these different weapons that you can attach to your aircraft and or spacecraft, and each one has a different weapon properties or different elements, and certain elements are better against other elements, and that's sort of typical thing. But what's really cool about the R-Wing is that if you don't have any of those equipped, you have the lasers from the games. It actually acts just like those, and you can do barrel rolls that'll deflect shots, that it's exclusive to the R-Wing, and all these elements that really make it great. And Fox's special ability is calling in the rest of Star Fox, and what's really cool about that I know you'll appreciate is that the Star Fox theme starts playing, this really
awesome.
pumped up, amped up version as the others are coming in and helping you fight whatever's around there. It gets you really pumped up and going for it. It's like, man, this is just a really cool amalgamation of it's Star Fox, but it's not Star Fox, and it feels really good. Unfortunately, because I wasn't very good at the space combat at first, I kind of died a lot, but it allowed me to figure out that, hey, this ship is shot down, and you could respawn and try again, or you could just pop another ship on and continue playing with that. And different ships actually act as almost lives, essentially. And if you talk to certain characters, you'll get those ships back, but otherwise they are kind of out of commission for a little while. And it made it really nice to just jump back into it. There's little pauses here and there as you sort of attach the new ship, but I think me dying so much actually helped a little bit because it gave me a better idea of the toy mechanic, where it was really easy to just pop it off, snap the next one back on, put your weapon attachments on, good to go. Like, it is very quick and seamless.
Now, I know that when I got to a really small amount of time to play Starlink myself, and I know that when I did, I had the ships, the ship toys attached to the Joy-Con grip, and I kept feeling the ship kind of hit my wrists and other parts of my hand, and it felt a little bit cumbersome to me. Did you have any of that same experience, or was it better for you?
I had that the first time I played Starlink at the this sort of post E3 demo I did way back when it was a bunch of other Nintendo games, where I kept wanting to move the controller, like sort of tilt it, and that was sort of my big hang up, is like, I have this plane, it feels like I should be going like a kid going,
right,
that sort of thing. But with this second playthrough, I had it in my head that, okay, that doesn't work, and it was positioned just well enough that it felt actually surprisingly comfortable. Obviously, there's a little bit of extra weight there, but it didn't bother me as much. So I think you might not, it might not click with you right away, but within like an hour or two, you'll have this down and sort of know what you're dealing with and really figure it out. So I don't think it's going to be a huge hang up to have that. But again, you don't actually need to have that connected at all if you don't want to use the toy aspect. You can get it, all the stuff that you get with the toys within menus and whatnot. You just lose that sort of tactile feeling. Because I was having trouble with the second mission for Star Fox, one of the reps there actually jumped in with me for the co-op, and it's really cool how the co-op is seamless drop in, drop out. He jumped in, grabbed one of the ships, attached the weapons from his menus and whatnot, and boom, he was in there doing split screen with me, and we were working together, and it was a lot of fun. It was really cool to see just how seamless that multiplayer really is. And like, let's say siblings are having trouble with a certain part, they can help each other by just jumping in and like, okay, we're good, and jump out. And it's really intuitive. And I can really feel like a sense of me getting the handle on everything by the time I got to the third mission, where I had a bit of a boss fight against another pilot, and you got to see these really cool effects because you went to an ice planet. I flew really close to the water, and that condensation ended up on the ship, and so it actually started freezing over. You could still go, but it was a cool graphical effect, and you actually had Fox going, ugh, he actually responding to the cold. Just really cool stuff there, and the fights feel pretty good. Everything is mixed up pretty well. I will say though that the Star Fox missions are spread out. Basically, it seems like, I can't say this for sure, but from what I experienced with these first 3 missions, it seems like each one is on a different planet or near a different planet. So if you want to do them all at once, you're going to be doing a lot of traveling just to get to that next spot, rather than sort of the natural, hey, we're going to end up in this planet, and if you want to go back, you can just quick travel. Don't have quick travel yet because I haven't gone to those planets yet, since I'm rushing through the Star Fox content. So I have a little bit more travel time to worry about, and so I'd say about a good 5 minutes or so between of traveling between missions 1 and 2 and 2 and 3. Nothing too bad. That's
not too bad.
It definitely shows that this is a big universe to explore, and the planets are quite big. It's impressive how expansive Starlink really is in that context.
Well, and it sounds like that might be their way of ensuring that Nintendo fans naturally kind of explore the whole universe by spreading out the Star Fox missions throughout that universe, so they're not just going to one corner of the universe where all the Star Fox missions are centered,
Exactly. And I mean, Andre might have said it himself from playing through this, but my God, it feels so good to have these actors reprising their roles, and it feels so natural to jump in there and have them interact and talk, and Falco is Falco, Slippy is Slippy. They are very much like their typical characters, just in this different world, and seeing them interact, and especially, honestly, my favorite of this entire grouping is Wolf. Like, he actually has a cutscene. Yeah. We'll be posting that cutscene so you can see the full thing. You saw a little taste of it during the recent Direct, but seeing the whole thing in context, where you defeat the guy in the second mission, and he sort of reports to Wolf about Star Fox, and he's like, yeah, I got overwhelmed. They must have had like 50 ships taking me out, and Wolf is just like, really? 50 ships? Like, you could just tell that I know Star Fox.
He just knows.
And he has just this such cool quality to him. It's great. It might be
That's
Wolf of my
awesome.
favorite. It really is a lot of fun. And I think that's like I said, that's the key. The Star Fox stuff is really good. You can play as Fox the entire time and kind of make this sort of like a Star Fox side story that kind of works. And because the rest of the game, I got to fool around a little bit after those 3 missions, going around, exploring, doing side content, side quests that you can do to build up your ship. You can improve all your different weapons. There's a ton of different weapon types that really tie into it. You can actually mix and match the weapons, so you can have these special effects that happen by maybe combining fire and ice, or fire and dark blasters, or stuff like that. Like there's a lot of more depth in here than you would think. And actually a part they showed in a presentation that I was just sort of mystified by, that really cool. So, you know how you have all the different ship parts? Well, you can actually take off the wings. And if you want, you can attach wing on wing on wing on wing. It looks utterly ridiculous, but it does improve your handling and other stats. So if you really want to deck out one ship and have this monstrosity of a ship with just all these wings attached, and then finally end it off with some weapons, you can totally do that. And it's kind of cool to see that versatility there.
Now, can you intentionally design a ship that doesn't fly right? Like, can you put on wings backwards and then that'll actually bear out in the game, and you can't fly straight?
I don't know if they'll be backwards, because I think they only slide in certain ways, but you can have it where you have like 5 wings on the right side and only 1 wing on the left, and you will fly a little lopsided, they said.
Oh, that's so cool. So, okay. Well, can you talk a bit more about what Star Fox, or like what Team Star Fox and Wolf are actually doing, or is that are the story details themselves kind of under wraps?
The story details, like the overall story, is kind of like I don't have a full grasp on it. Basically, Wolf is there dealing with this special, I think it's Electrium or Electrum, something like that he's dealing with. But they don't know exactly what he's up to with all this stuff. They just know he's in the Atlas system. He's employed some of these bandits to help him out and figure things out, making promises to a lot of people, and they're just in the system like, okay, Wolf is up to bad stuff, he's a known criminal, we need to track him down and stop him. So it's nothing too grandiose or anything like that, but it's enough to get you forward. And again, Wolf is a great character here, like just the dialogue between all of them are really great. Like Peppy's just like, I knew I should have retired, that type of stuff. And nice. Falco's like, I think you've solved one puzzle, and it's like, great, you got a thing? Like, he's just like, sure, whatever, we did this.
Well, now I know you were mentioning co-op earlier. Now, if you play co-op with the Star Fox missions, can your friend play as any of the other wingmen, like Falco, or do you play as one of the original characters from Starlink?
Unfortunately, you cannot play as any of the other characters, it seems like. You can only play as one of the other original characters. It does not seem like Falco, Peppy, or Slippy are playable at all. They're just sort of acting as Fox's special ability, where he calls them in for wingmen and they can come help you out. Although I did once call them, and I hit the button by accident, and I saw one of their ships in front of me, so I'm like, I wonder if I can shoot them down like the old games, and I started firing at it, and unfortunately you can't, so you can't shoot down Slippy if he comes to help you out.
Well, then pre-order canceled. You can't shoot down Slippy. What's the whole point?
I know. Actually, the rep was like, I've never seen anybody actually try that.
Nice. Staying on co-op for a second, something I've noticed about Starlink is that even the Switch version, the graphics really, really look nice. Like the graphics and the performance, I've really been impressed by, at least from what I saw during my demo time at San Diego Comic-Con. And first of all, do you feel the same way about the graphics? And kind of going off of that, when you played co-op, did you notice like an appreciable downgrade in the graphics or performance, or did the Switch handle that well?
I think the game looks gorgeous, just as you do. Like, it is really impressive, like, how you go from space into the atmosphere, into the planet, and then you get all those details. And it's handled very well. There's never any sense of slowdown or anything like that. It just looks good. And I really appreciate that, especially because it's just impressive that they're pulling this off on the Switch. I mean, they have a certain style to it, which I think helps a lot, but it is just a graphically impressive game. As far as in co-op, whether I noticed a downgrade, not offhand. I wasn't looking too closely, to be honest. I was just I was like, oh man, I only have an hour and 15 minutes to get through this. I want to make sure I can get all these Star Fox missions that I can. So I wasn't focusing too hard on the graphics, but we were also in space, so I'm not sure if there was a it's easy to tell. Like, you don't notice the land around you changing. It was just space with this sort of base that you were shooting around. So I didn't notice any major drop in quality, and I don't think I noticed any dip in the frame rate either. But I am notoriously bad at being able to tell those sort of things. But I think it runs fine, just on a macro level.
Right, okay. And I think I recall hearing that the way the universe is kind of constructed, you can basically go from space into a planet's atmosphere and go into the planet, and there's very little loading. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, I didn't notice any loading at all.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. It was really
How cool. All right, well, is there anything else you want to touch on about Starlink, or specifically the Star Fox content within it?
I'll be honest. When I first heard about this event, and the fact that it was in New York, and I was going to head over there to check it out, I was like, okay, well, this will be interesting. But despite me not really playing a lot of space shooter games, I did have a lot of fun with this one, and it might be sort of this cult classic worth checking out. And especially if you're into the Star Fox stuff like this, I think you're in for a good time if you really are excited for anything Star Fox related. And these are really good representations of the characters themselves. So I feel like we have a hidden gem on our hands. It really does seem like that.
Nice. Okay, well, hopefully that bears out when the game comes out. And otherwise, I think that about wraps it up for this preview discussion. So, as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and follow us on social media using the links in the video description below. In the meantime, keep it on GameXplain for more on Starlink, the Nintendo Switch, and all things gaming.